My name is Alex, and you are watching Redline Reviews. Today we are taking a look at the monstrosity that is the Note 8. It is the successor to the beloved Note 7, which sadly had a short life and could not continue with us, although it does live on with us in the Note 8. So let's dive in and see what makes this Note so special and if it's worth the price tag of $950. So taking up most of the front of the phone is that gorgeous 6.3-inch Quad HD AMOLED panel with those slight curves on the screen. The screen has a slight curves on each of the corners that allow it to give it more of an immersive feel while using the phone. Now, I may have noticed that this phone does have a taller than normal footprint, and that's due to the slightly odd aspect ratio of 18:5:9, which gives it even a more widescreen viewing experience. Now, with these two phones side by side, the Galaxy S7 Edge with its 5.5-inch curved screen almost feels like an old piece of alien technology next to the Note. The Note's display feels massive next to the Galaxy S7 Edge's screen, even with the 5.5-inch screen that it has, and that's due to that aspect ratio making the phone narrow and taller, and those minimal bezels. Now, the screen has a resolution of 2960 by 1440 with a PPI of 522. The brightness of the phone is crazy bright with a peak brightness of 1200 nits, although when it was next to my Galaxy S7 Edge, it didn't seem that much brighter. The display is HDR10 capable, so you can watch it with Amazon Prime and YouTube with the limited content that's available. The curves on the front of the display and the back of the phone melt into the mid-frame, give it kind of almost a pebble feel, like the Note 7 did. Now, the display size on this phone is massive at 6.3 inches, but it doesn't feel that, and that's due to that wide aspect ratio giving the phone a much narrower body. 6.3 inches, you would think this is basically a tablet, since a lot of tablets are starting to start at 7 inches now. Although the phone is very easy to use and does require both hands, but it doesn't feel cumbersome while doing so. On the left side of the phone, you will find your volume rocker and the much despised Bixby button. On the right of the device, you have your power button. Also, when double pressed quickly, acts as your camera launch button. On the bottom of the unit is the headphone jack, yay, the USB-C connector, the loudspeaker grill and loudspeaker, and the S Pen. On the top of the phone is the SIM tray that houses the nano SIM card along with a micro SD card for expansion. So let's take a look at some of the hardware that they have packed into this beast of a phone. On the front of the device, you have your iris scanner, your proximity sensor, your 8-megapixel front-facing shooter with, yes, autofocus. That's strange. Where is the home button? I could have sworn it was just right here a second ago. Oh, here it is. They put it on the back of the phone. Now, the placement for most seems less than ideal, but for me, I surprisingly didn't have any issues, and this is my first time using the device with the back fingerprint sensor. Now, when I do take out my phone in my pocket, I do grab it midway on the device, so when I have to place my finger, I don't have to shimmy it up the device to reach it. I just place it and it unlocks. Let's turn our attention to the cameras on this phone. They include dual 12-megapixel sensors with 1.4 micron pixels, so bigger pixels allow more light in for the sensor. They both support OIS, optical image stabilization, but one of these cameras is not like the other, as that sensor has 2 times optical zoom and a small aperture of 2.4 opposed to 1.7. Now, this can give you a good amount of zoom with minimal clarity loss. Now, with the telephoto lens, Samsung has included some software effects called live focus, which allows you to give your subject a really nice depth of field with artificial bokeh effect, so kind of similar to a DSLR. Now, most of the time it works really, really well, giving you a really professional look to your photos, but sometimes it doesn't really work out so well. And since a lot of this is done in software, I imagine through software updates it can be cleaned up. But let's say you took a photo and you don't really like it. Well, then you can go back into the software and reduce or completely turn off the live focus effect, so no bokeh. And if you really don't like the close-up that you've taken, you can switch it to a wide angle shot when you turn on dual capture in live focus. It's really nice having the flexibility to adjust your photos after the fact. The front camera is a 8-megapixel shooter with autofocus. You cannot focus extremely close with it, but it does allow you to get closer than you would normally with a fixed focal lens on a normal front-facing camera. The camera does put out really nice shots and is able to handle low-light situations quite well, with its also 1.4 micron pixels. So let's talk about that Bixby button that everyone is hating on. The button is hard programmed into the phone, yes, and is unremappable at this time, and is in a bad location, I can admit that. But from what I can tell, I find myself using it way more than using Google Assistant. It could be just clicking and pressing a button and giving it command is just better suited while already holding the device than when your thumb is already resting in that area, opposed to having to press and hold the home button. I find it easier. So if I'm in an app, I can just give it a command that pertains to that application, for instance. So if I wanted to say edit my last photo I took, then I could just say I generally find it more useful for navigating the device on a regular basis than using it for in-app commands. Now, only time will tell if this is just a phase since I just got the phone, but time will only tell if this button really has any benefits. The battery inside the Note is a 3300 milliamp hour battery. Battery compared to the S7 Edge I have lasted longer by quite a bit. My Galaxy device would get me through the day with medium use when taking off the charger at 7 a.m. and putting it back on the charger at 10 p.m. with about 30% left to spare. So far with the Note 8, I can do that but basically be on the phone the entire time and not really have to worry about the battery dying. And even if it does come to that, the phone does support Qualcomm 2.0 opposed to the newer standard, but it still charges the battery up quickly, so you can get your phone topped back to 100% from zero in about 90 minutes. They definitely played it safe after the Note 7 recall, which I can't blame them for. Now it appears that a lot of the longevity of this one has to come to software, now that it is running 7.1.1, opposed to all the other Samsung devices currently are running 7.0. The Note 8 comes with a stylus that allows you to, when you take it out when the screen is off, to do screen off memo, or when the screen is on, you can pull it out and it will bring up Air Command, and you'll be able to select from a carousel of different options. You can add or remove features from this carousel as well, basically based on your preference. Thank you for watching this video on the Note 8. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down in the comments below. If you liked the video, like it. If you disliked it, dislike it. And if you want, you can support me by subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.